6'8" Latrell Sprewell, same body type, crazy athleticism, unstoppable in the open floor, excellent three-point shooting. Only question mark about Andrew Wiggins is if he can be assertive enough to lead a team like Latrell. The closest player I can think of to Wiggins is Dr. J in terms of size, length, defense, and athleticism. Kawhi, because the guy has crazy physical tools, plays good defense, plays within a system. Rudy Gay, because when Rudy came into the league, he was too considered raw, with crazy athletic ability. However, I think Wiggins will be a much better offensive player than Kawhi is right now. He will also not be the ball stopper that Rudy is. He can be a top 7 player in the league by 3 years max, and he'll eventually challenge Davis and KD for the crown as the top player in the league. Now entering his 5th season in the NBA, what exactly happened to the all-star, if not superstar potential, that Andrew Wiggins once had? And are we maybe writing him off too early? Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zach Lee. Thank you for coming back once again. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Andrew Wiggins and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we're going to get right into that, but first, I do have to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Yabwear NBA Clothing. If you're looking for some of the dopest NBA clothing that you can get your hands on right now, then Yabwear has you covered. With an ever-growing selection of some of the game's best players, and for a limited time, any purchase on the site earns you a free phone case of your choice as well. You can learn more by visiting the links in the description box below.
All right, so how do you plan on proving the critics wrong? How do you prove being the #1 pick when you go into Cleveland?
Just going in and creating an impact off the bat, just playing my game, have confidence in myself, because I got to believe in myself before anyone else can.
In his college days, Andrew Wiggins was arguably the hottest topic in the basketball world. Some would even go as far as to say that he was the hottest topic in the entire sporting world. A player destined to become the next big craze, an out-of-this-world athlete who was going to take the NBA world by storm, appearing on the covers of countless major sports publications, some even going as far as to compare him to the likes of sports legends such as Wilt Chamberlain and Peyton Manning. Even Kobe Bryant himself was caught up in the Andrew Wiggins hype, as back in 2014, when he was asked for his opinion about Andrew Wiggins, this is what he had to say. "It's like looking at a reflection of myself 19 years ago." And the comparisons didn't come close to ending there, as over the months and even years since, countless of articles have come out claiming that Andrew Wiggins was to Kobe what Kobe was to Michael Jordan. And to take things even further, when Karl Anthony Towns entered the league by the side of Andrew Wiggins, the comparison shifted to not only just Andrew Wiggins being the next Kobe, but now Wiggins and Towns becoming the next Shaq and Kobe. So the hype around Andrew Wiggins was most certainly real, and it only continued to grow from season to season, as while his rookie season wasn't anything earth-shattering, and just like 99% of the rookies that come into the league, there were certain areas of his game in which he would need to improve upon, Wiggins was still able to average a more than respectable 16.9 points per game. So the promise of him becoming one of the game's elites was still very much there. And over the next couple of seasons, while he didn't make any colossal leaps into becoming one of the game's elites, we did see a steady increase in his scoring, still leaving the door open for a possible breakout season when he would officially make the All-Star team and become one of the game's greatest players.
At 27 years of age, he joins the Timberwolves in the prime of his career, and alongside Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, has Minnesota sports fans rather excited for the upcoming season.
Which leads us to the 2017-2018 season, what will be Wiggins' 4th year in the NBA. And if there was ever a time for him to break out, then this was seen as that year. Coming off a season where he averaged nearly 24 points per game, was on the verge of making his first ever All-Star team, and not only that, but with the new additions to the team such as Taj Gibson, Jeff Teague, and Jimmy Butler, not only Andrew Wiggins, but the Wolves as a whole seemed destined to become a real threat to the empire that the Golden State Warriors were in the process of building. So that was the mindset and sort of expectations for Andrew Wiggins heading in to last season. However, we all know that it didn't quite pan out like that. Not for the Wolves, and especially not for Andrew Wiggins. At first, yes, they did prove themselves to be one of the better teams in the loaded Western Conference. More than halfway into the season, Minnesota had a fairly comfortable lead for the 3rd seed in the crowded West, but that had more to do with Jimmy Butler than it did with Andrew Wiggins, as Wiggins was struggling, to say the very least, struggling to adapt to becoming the team's perceived 3rd option behind both Butler and Towns. And I say perceived 3rd option because, well, Wiggins was still attempting more shots per game than both Towns and Butler, while at the same time averaging fewer points than both Towns and Butler, as he saw his scoring dip from nearly 24 points per game in the prior season to only 17 points per game on 16 field goal attempts per game this season. And all of a sudden, all the hype, all of the comparisons to a young Kobe completely died. And instead, we began seeing articles of Jimmy Butler essentially begging Andrew Wiggins to be better. And things didn't get any better for Andrew Wiggins as the season progressed, as about a month before the regular season was set to conclude, and with the Wolves seeming to be a lock for the NBA playoffs, which would end their 14-season-long postseason drought, Jimmy Butler went down with a knee injury. And in the wake of Jimmy Butler's injury, once again, all attention turned right back to Andrew Wiggins, as now the expectations for him were to step up and lead this Wolves team into the playoffs. Well, with each passing game, the losses started to accumulate, and in the tight Western Conference playoff race, it wasn't too long before the Wolves found themselves in severe danger of missing the postseason for the 15th straight year, which then prompted Jimmy Butler to have to come back earlier than he would have liked before he was fully recovered from his injury, just to make sure that the Wolves didn't miss out on the playoffs. And even then, it took the final game of the season, a thriller between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves, for the Wolves to, luckily for Andrew Wiggins, get into the playoffs. But anyways, in the playoffs, we all know that the Wolves were quickly dispatched of by the Houston Rockets in just 5 games, officially ending the season in which Andrew Wiggins, for most people, fell out of the conversation as one of the game's bright up-and-coming stars and into the conversation of just yet another talented player with promise, but for some reason never reached his full potential.
I still think that the top end of this team will be determined by how good he becomes, and we're now 4 years in. We've seen it, and typically you see guys make jumps by now. You kind of know who you are 4 years, and if this is who Andrew Wiggins is going to be, then he's going to be a disappointing player.
But that begs the question, is one bad season enough to completely eliminate all potential of Andrew Wiggins becoming one of the game's best players? Is it enough to take him out of the conversation as one of the game's brightest young stars? Well, the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves certainly doesn't think that it's too late for Andrew Wiggins, as he said yesterday that it's still way too early for anyone to give up on a player that's still as young as Andrew Wiggins and that has as much talent as Andrew Wiggins has. I just think you want to take a person and not give up on them when they're that young, no matter what. I think you have to be really careful of not giving up on him. You look at a lot of players and it took them 3 or 4 years to get better, and they keep getting better from experience and confidence. I don't see why Andrew can't be one of those people because he has such natural ability. I had expectations of him to be better this year. I think the adjustment with Jimmy coming in has taken a little time, but certainly someone of his caliber can make those adjustments and play better. I know that's Andrew's goal too, so we'll see what he does this summer. This will, without a doubt, be the defining season of Andrew Wiggins' career. He needs to come back better this season, and when I say better, I don't mean incrementally or marginally better than he was this past season. Andrew Wiggins needs to have the best season of his career in order for him to restore our faith in him, and maybe even to restore the faith of Jimmy Butler in the Minnesota Timberwolves. But now I pass the question off to you guys. Is it too late for Andrew Wiggins? Do you think that he still has potential to be a star in the NBA? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I will be reading off some of the best answers in the next video. Speaking of which, yesterday we were talking about the Toronto Raptors and them now becoming the favorites to land Kawhi Leonard in a trade this summer. And afterwards, I asked you guys if you think the Raptors really should trade for Kawhi Leonard, and here is what you had to say. I wouldn't trade DeRozan for a 1-year Kawhi rental. He's going to LA next year anyways. With Boston as strong as they are, Toronto needs to go all in and get Kawhi. Philly and Milwaukee are coming too. As long as DeRozan, OG, or Van Vliet isn't part of the trade, I'd love to see Kawhi. The Toronto Raptors trading for Kawhi Leonard, now depending on how much they give up for him, could turn out to be one of the most devastating trades an NBA franchise has made since the Nets sold their souls to the Boston Celtics. If Kawhi is insisting on being in LA and has no interest in re-signing with the Raptors, I don't know what the Raptors could do this upcoming season short of winning a championship in order to convince Kawhi to stay with them long term. And if they're banking on acquiring Kawhi Leonard in a trade and then winning a championship that year in hopes that that will be enough to get Kawhi Leonard to commit to them long term, I'm definitely not feeling confident enough in that to give up all those assets for the hopes of that happening. Anyways, don't forget to leave your answer for today's question of the day down in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel with post notifications on so you don't miss out on more future videos. Anyways, thank you once again for watching, and I'll see all of you right back here next time. But until then, I am out of here. Peace!